the cloud. Never gets old. All right. Hey, glad to have you all here. This is our webinar. Each one of you all specifically works with one of us, and we're blessed to have you as clients or transformers in the app. Hopefully you're seeing amazing results, and hopefully we'll continue seeing amazing results, and hopefully we learned something today to help us take your physique to the next level. My name is Dustin Holston. I'm the owner of Advanced Nutrition Solutions. I am a First Form sponsor trainer like these ladies. I am a certified nutritionist, personal trainer, weight loss specialist. I'm also a Cornell certified wellness counselor. This is my full-time job. I coach full-time from West Virginia, as you can tell from my accent. I'm sorry. I'm sure I sound like, just sound amazing with my awesome accent. But so I currently coach over 1,000 people nationwide with their health and fitness, and it's the greatest job in history of the world. And there's me half drowning, getting out of the ocean with my son this summer. So.
What's up, you guys? I'm Kaylee Branstad. I'm so thankful for all you guys joining today. I also am a sponsored trainer alongside these two amazing humans. Obviously, Dustin said he's in West Virginia, I'm in Hawaii, and it is as beautiful as you would expect that it is. And I also work full-time at the UPS store. So I do coaching full-time, UPS store full-time. So I'm a busy lady and a dog mom.
And I'm Marissa Herbstler. So I'm not from as beautiful of a place as Hawaii, but at least I'm not from where Dustin's from. I'm from New Hampshire. I am also a First Form sponsored trainer. I coach, I full-time coach. So I do full-time with my people. I have my degree in exercise science. I do have several different nutrition and, fitness certifications. I'm also a mom. My son is going to be 4 in September. So that's exciting. But like I said, I work from home as a full-time online coach, mom, and my husband's also in the military. So a little bit about me.
I just feel so intimidating. She's so jacked in that photo. And I'm just like, oh man, I actually had my sleeves on. I had a sleeveless shirt getting on this call. And then I was like, man, Marissa and Kaylee are jacked. I'm going to put sleeves on. I feel self-conscious. So
you just make them feel a little bit small, right, Marissa?
Yeah. So today, guys, we're breaking it out in 3 specific topics. We're going to talk about weight loss and toning. We're going to talk about muscle gain and performance, and we're going to talk about some just traditional health topics to help us improve our health. We're going to break it down into specifics. So we're going to talk about weight loss and toning and some of these topics. During the weight loss and toning topics, if you have questions on weight loss and toning, feel free to ask them. You don't have to wait until the end of the presentation to ask your questions about weight loss and toning. However, if you do have a health-related question, let's wait until we get to the health-related section, so that way we stay on topic. So you got, three amazing coaches that's been doing this for a long time, that collectively we coach thousands of people across North America. So, I'm going to be taking notes because I'm going to learn a lot from these guys and from you all. So I'm really excited. I couldn't be more stoked. So weight loss. So first, we're going to kind of talk about metabolism. And so metabolism, all your metabolism is just how many calories your body burns each day. And your factors of your metabolism are just everyday activity. We're not talking about exercise-related activity. We're just talking about walking, talking, heart beating, blood circulating, digestion, all that burns calories. And then your thyroid burns, if you do have a thyroid, that's a big caveat. Your thyroid does burn a couple hundred calories a day. Added activity, when you work out or you chase your kids around the yard, you burn extra calories. But believe it or not, the biggest factor of our metabolism is actually how much muscle we have. Each pound of muscle burns roughly 10 calories per day. And that's why you'll hear all 3 of us talk about the importance of preserving and building lean muscle, because the more muscle we have, the more calories we burn each day. So on average, a pound of muscle burns about 10 calories per pound. And so if you have 60 pounds of muscle, that's 600 calories a day that your body's burning on top of everyday activity, your thyroid, digestion, things like that. What would you all like to add, ladies?
I mean, I would just really kind of hone in on the fact that like you burn a lot more calories than I think a lot of people realize you burn. I think a lot of people think, you know, we have all of these fitness trackers and things like that. And, you know, they tell us that we burn X amount of calories, but first of all, these are not super accurate. So don't go based off of that. But also understand that like your body burns so many calories just surviving. So like, you know, we're going to get in talking about like eating in a calorie deficit, but like understand that like your body as just surviving and living burns, I would say roughly depending about, I mean, it's going to depend on a lot of different things, but roughly about 10 calories per pound of your body weight. So I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize is like you actually burn a lot more calories than most people understand. But definitely, you know, supporting muscle mass. Muscle is really the driver of your metabolism. It's the most metabolically expensive thing on your body. So doing everything that you can to support that muscle is going to help us with supporting overall metabolism.
Yeah. And I think, you know, that's the hot word right now is metabolism. How am I going to get my metabolism up? And one of those main key factors is that protein. And I think, you know, even for myself, just learning from experience, I tried the whole caloric deficit. I could eat the same amount of calories, but not focusing on that protein number. And I'm just going to look, you know, kind of like a smaller version of myself rather than me being a little bit more lean, a little bit more toned, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So great points, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, we got to remember metabolism is kind of a floating number. It can vary drastically, right? And just from like, hey, you do more today than you did yesterday, guess what? You're burning some more calories. However, there's also factors in metabolism that'll cause some metabolic damage. And so that's a really hot word in the industry right now is damaged metabolisms. And there's some validity to it, guys. So, you know, you could take, you know, say myself and my buddy Travis is on here. And so we're almost exactly the same age, right? And we both, you know, weigh roughly the same amount. So we should burn similar calories, but that's not necessarily true. Each person will burn different amount of calories based off of, you know, whether it's vitamins and minerals. If you're deficient in specific things, your metabolism can crash. If you have specific chronic health conditions, you can have a slower or faster metabolism, you know? And so it's not even just, you know, your height and weight or your gender. There's also a lot of other aspects that factor into our metabolism. And so what we're going to talk about, which Kaylee kind of alluded to, is we can increase our metabolism. There are things that we can do that we are either not currently doing or not doing very well that we can do to actually increase that metabolism. So Kaylee, go back into protein. Like, why do we set the number where we do? What's the key? Why is protein so important for our metabolism?
Before I hit on that, I'm just going to hit on the question in the chat. So Wayne said, is there a more accurate way to calculate the calories burned? And, you know, my answer to that, and you guys can chime in too. And I think what Marissa was saying is they're not that accurate because, you know, it is a guess. It's not going to be the 100%. Like if it says you burn 600 calories, you know, it's give or take. You probably didn't, and it's not as accurate. So Marissa, I'm pretty sure that that's what you were getting at with that. Like it's not crazy off, but it's not exactly that number.
Yeah. And, you know, I would more so use it as a tool. Like, let's say that in one workout, it says you burnt 600 calories and the next workout, it says you burnt 200 calories. I would more so use it as a tool as like, hey, you probably pushed a little bit harder in that 600 calorie workout than you did in the 200 calorie workout, but don't necessarily look at it as like, oh, I burnt 600 calories in that workout, so I can eat back 600 calories in my diet. Or I'm going to base like however many calories I'm eating based off of like what my fitness tracker, you know, is telling me with that. But really like there is no like specific way that you can calculate how many calories you are specifically burning. I think there might be like some sort of device out there, like a kilometer. Isn't that what it's called, Dustin? You probably know this.
Yeah. But I think that you made a huge point earlier that we didn't quite reference, and was the fact that we burn roughly, you know, 10 calories per pound of lean muscle is kind of the equation that I use. But what's great about the First Form app is it kind of takes into consideration a good number of how many calories you're probably burning, and it contributing a calorie, carb, protein, and fat goal based off of that. And so we may not know exactly how many calories we burn. Okay. And would it be nice to know? Absolutely. But we probably wouldn't be able to get a true scientifically accurate number through some device, just because there's no way of it knowing hormonal levels and so many other factors. However, using the app and how it was developed by a registered dietitian, a good friend of ours, we know that the formula itself will be a pretty good estimation of what you need to stay in a caloric deficit, that you're not going to be overly eating. And I think that a lot of times we get into this chasing calories, right? And kind of like, hey, look, I had a bomb Zumba class. My watch told me I burned 1,000 calories. So now I can have a large pizza because a large pizza is 1,000 calories and it offsets. Well, the app bases the app, when it sets goals, it's assuming that you are working out and you're working out with intensity. And so it's not necessarily, to me, do I need to know how many calories I'm burning? It's more of, I need to know how many calories I'm eating. So that way I know from a scale perspective, week after week, if I am burning those calories. If I'm gaining weight, then I'm not burning as many calories as I think I am. If I'm losing weight, then I am. Go ahead, Kaylee.
By doing all the steps though, and having, coaches like us, we're going to find that exact spot for you. We're going to make adjustments as we go, but you're going to have to do all the steps, hit all the numbers, do all the things in order for us to be able to do that. And that's kind of how we find that number.
And that's the beauty of, one of the beauties of tracking your macros is, now that you have a set of data to look at, you can see how your body responds to that data. And then you can go in and say, okay, I'm not seeing the progress that I want. Let's make an adjustment and move forward from there. Because at the end of the day, like, we're not chasing specific numbers, we're chasing results. So like, if you're not making progress off of a specific calorie, allotment, well, then we can make an adjustment to that, but we can't make that adjustment until you're consistently hitting that, so we can see how your body responds to it.
Crazy story. There's a sponsor trainer that we all know. She weighs about 120 pounds and eats 3,500 calories a day to maintain her 120 pounds. Blows my mind. That's 1,400 more calories than I eat in my calorie deficit, and I outweigh her by 50% of her body weight. Metabolisms are crazy, guys. We either light them on fire or we don't have a fire at all, but we can increase the metabolism. So, Kaylee, protein, why is the sweet spot somewhere around 1 gram per goal body weight? I mean, how's that really going to help us?
It's going to help us because, give or take, it is just an estimate. So kind of going off of exactly what we were just talking about, it gives us that good number and that good spot to go off of. So, just like me, my goal weight is around 150, but I'm eating about 180 grams of protein, but that's because, protein is very satiating. So it's going to keep me full a lot longer. And I did need a little bit more food and a little bit more calories. And that's going to keep me maintaining that lean muscle that I worked so hard to get at, and keep that and make sure that I am keeping up with that muscle.
Yeah, absolutely. And luckily, there's a lot of studies that support this. And so, protein is the key driver of keeping and building lean tissue. And as Marissa and Kaylee have brought up, muscle is very metabolically active, meaning it needs a lot of calories. And so if we can keep as much muscle as we have and potentially build more muscle, we're going to burn through more calories. This also is going to allow us to tone as we lose weight. And so we know through science, the sweet spot somewhere around 1 gram per goal lean body mass, meaning, if you were going to be a very lean and toned weight, whatever that goal might be, it's about how many grams of protein you should eat. So if you want to be a toned 150, you should eat 150 grams of protein at a minimum. And so that's kind of the sweet spot there. So it's actually going to help us get toned, build our metabolism, keep and retain the muscle we have, even though we're in a calorie deficit and actually eating less than our body needs.
And Dustin, I like how you said at a minimum, like not going below that. That's super key too.
And also just, this is also going to help make your progress sustainable for you long-term, much more sustainable for you long-term, because the problem that comes, that arises when you don't get in adequate protein, I'm sure most of us on here have in the past, cut our calories and, you lost weight, but eventually you kind of hit that plateau went back to eating how you were before, and then it's very easy to pack all that weight back on, usually plus some. And that's because like when you went through that dieting process, you didn't, you were in a calorie deficit, but you weren't also getting in adequate protein. You were lacking on protein. So you weren't supporting your muscle. You lost some muscle while you were dieting and losing weight. And that slowed down metabolism so that when you went back to eating how you were before, it made it very easy for you to pack all that weight back on. So the way that we can kind of get ahead of that and prevent that from happening is supporting our muscle mass through the dieting process by getting in adequate protein, 1 gram per pound of goal body weight to support our muscle mass, and help us make it a more sustainable, give you more sustainable long-term results so that, we're thinking about like where we're going to be long-term. Because most of us know how to lose weight. What a lot of people struggle with is maintaining that weight loss, maintaining those results that you get, because this is where you get into like constantly yo-yoing back and forth of you lose the weight, you gain it back, you lose it, you gain it back. So the best way to get ahead of that is by, supporting that muscle. And I know it might sound very weird. We're addressing weight loss and fat loss by talking all about muscle, but like that is what's going to help you make the fat loss process a lot easier and then also more sustainable for you long-term.
And I think this is super important. This is phenomenal, guys. Like, this is what I was really hoping this call would be at, because it's just great perspective. And, one thing that I've talked about in my group recently is metabolic damage. And so I'll tell a story. I had a client that was eating 250 calories a day. It was called the 10 bites a day diet, the most scary thing I've ever heard. 5 bites of whatever you want a day and 5 bites of protein a day. So she was eating between 250 and 300 calories a day and not losing. How is that possible? Well, what happened is her metabolism had slowed to equal the amount of food that she's consuming. She was losing muscle mass extremely high rates, okay? And so by not fueling your body, we talk about starvation mode, and it's not necessarily what people think, that you're going to start adding fat at low calories. What ends up happening is your body crashes your metabolism to equal the amount of calories you're consuming. So it shuts down core processes and such. And one of which is the metabolism. It'll slow your metabolism so much to offset the consumption that you're having. But part of the reason why is you're losing so much muscle. A pound of muscle is only worth about 800 calories of energy. A pound of fat's worth about 3,500 calories of energy. And so to eat through a pound of fat, in theory, your body could eat through 4.5 pounds of muscle. Well, that muscle is the biggest driver of your metabolism. And so if we're eating through that muscle, we're going to have metabolic damage. And what Marissa was saying is absolutely true. We've all lost weight before with extreme dieting, with crash dieting. And what ends up happening is you gain back everything you lost, and you typically gain more back. And it's because you've damaged your metabolism by eating through some of that muscle. And so when we talk about how to actually increase the metabolism, it actually starts with protein, because our goal is to keep and potentially build as much muscle. And we're talking about lean muscle, sexy toned muscle. We're not talking about bodybuilding, bulky muscle. If we can keep and retain and potentially build some lean muscle as we diet, our metabolism is going to be spread like gasoline. It is going to explode, and that's going to help us prevent plateauing as often. It's also going to allow us to tone as we lose weight. So that way, when we do get to our goal number, we're already in that more ideal body type. Now, we may need to tweak it a little bit, but we're going to be closer to where we want to be, instead of the old adage, lose all the weight and then tone. Well, no, you can do both at the same time, but it starts with protein.
Yeah,
Working out. Oh, go ahead, Kaylee.
No, I was going to just bring in that lifestyle aspect of the whole entire thing. Like, just like you said, most people on here aren't on here to get bodybuilding jacked like that. Our goal is the actual lifestyle and something that is sustainable. These are things that are going to take you long term. And a lot of you guys aren't in here just to do like 8 weeks and you're done with all of us. It's that long-term process. And this is how you can set yourself up for success to, still go out to dinner, but making sure that you are choosing the foods that are higher in protein, and just being aware of all these different things and all these different aspects that, all combined. They seem easy in concept, but it's just doing it over and over again. And it's really that protein is just the biggest thing. And I think it gets all three of us excited.
Marissa, let's change the topic a little bit. Let's talk about working out. So you have a transformer that's concerned with losing body fat, right? And they've struggled in the past. Maybe they're they've done tons of cardio but haven't quite seen the results you want. After talking about protein, what type of workouts would you suggest to someone who's just getting started who wants to obtain that lean goal?
Yeah, I mean, we talk all about, this whole conversation has been about doing everything we can to support our muscle. And I mean, we can support that muscle in two ways: through our protein intake, getting an adequate protein, but also working the muscle through resistance training. And so like from a exercise standpoint, I know a lot of times when it comes to like weight loss, most people's minds go straight to cardio and how many calories can I burn in this workout. But, when it comes to looking at like cardio versus something like resistance training, a lot of times people get hung up on the cardio or the calorie burn aspect of it. And it's like, okay, you may burn some more calories in that cardio workout, that HIIT workout, whatever it is you're doing. But the thing is like when that workout is done, there is a little bit of quote unquote afterburn, but you're pretty much done burning those calories when that workout is done, versus something like a resistance training workout where you're working the muscle, you're focusing on getting stronger, you're focusing on breaking down that muscle to build it up stronger. Not only are you going to burn calories during that training, but you're also going to burn calories the other 23 hours of the day through recovering that muscle. But also, like we've talked about before, the more muscle you have on your body, the faster your metabolism is going to be, which is going to help with losing fat and then keeping that body fat off long term. So, I mean, from a workout standpoint, best case scenario always is doing something that you enjoy and that you're going to be able to sustain long term. Because if I sit here and tell you like do this workout but you hate it, no, like you're not going to enjoy it, you're not going to be able to sustain it. However, like having a good mixture of resistance training to work the muscle. And then I always love seeing people have some lower intensity cardio. Using cardio as more of a tool to kind of just get some extra movement in. Most of us work desk jobs. So getting a daily walk in and getting some movement in, but best case scenario, having, some resistance training in there to work the muscle. Team no cardio. I feel that.
Yeah, I'm a walk a day kind of girl. You don't really catch me running.
Yeah, if I'm running, then something is probably chasing me. So you should probably run too.
That's right. Bees and bears. If I'm running, there's a bee or a bear behind me. No, I think exactly, resistance training, and guys, don't overcomplicate resistance training. Push-ups is resistance training. Wall sets, squats in your living room are resistance training. And if you're someone who can't afford a gym or you don't feel like you're quite ready for the gym, you're going to get a workout in by doing any type of resistance training. Anything that puts stress on the muscle, right, is really resistance training. So don't overthink it. Resistance bands is fine. Obviously, lifting weights and workout machines are going to be better in the long run. But guys, all three of us can say we've gotten people amazing results during COVID with no gyms, just doing push-ups, crunches, and squats in their living room. So don't overthink that. One thing I will say, though, what Marissa said is 100% true as long as you're fueling your body the correct way. If you're chronically under-eating protein or not eating enough calories, your working out is going to be detrimental to your health. It is not going to improve it. So there's the caveat that, hey, working out is the best for weight loss and fat burning as long as you're fueling your body. If you're not fueling your body, you're actually creating more damage than you should be. So, Kaylee, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to say on top of that, like, you just hit it too, where it's doing all of these steps. It's not just hitting your protein. It's not just going and working out. Sleep is a huge part of it too. The people that are like, oh, I'm grinding, like I only got 1 hour of sleep. Like that's not a positive thing to be hoorahing about. It's all of these steps all have to be done, taking your vitamins, whatever it may be, all the things that are suggested to do on a daily basis. Like I said before, simple in concept, doing it every single day, that's going to be, the kicker. And you can do it. It is very possible. And Dustin, I did want to say too, when it comes to the workouts, like the workouts that are in the app, the at-home workouts, they're phenomenal. Like my dad doesn't go to a gym and he's lost 50 pounds since January, like just doing the at-home workouts, tracking his food, drinking his water, getting good sleep.
Mm-hmm. It's magic. Two points real quick, and we'll move on from metabolism. Guys, quality sleep super important. Now, I know if you're a dad or a mom or you work crazy schedules, it's hard. Okay. However, there's multiple studies showing that poor sleep factors drastically into our metabolism, and not in a good way. Right? More likely to store body fat, more likely to increase cortisol levels, more likely to recover less and to build less muscle. It's not good, right? Burning the candle from both ends is not great for your physique, right? I understand we've all had to put in 80-hour weeks, or we have a sick kid, or whatever it might be. However, when we talk to actually when optimizing our health, it also starts with sleep. And with vitamins and minerals, guys, chromium and vitamin D and selenium and magnesium, so many different vitamins and minerals that we should be getting from our diet have direct correlation with our metabolism. And the way I've always explained it is if you give your body everything it needs, it's going to be more willing to give up some fat and grow some muscle. If we're deficient in something, then it's got to work a little harder to make up for whatever it's missing, and less likely to give you any fat or muscle. So focus on foundational health. So real quick, we're going to talk about types of diets, and we're not going to spend that much time on this, guys. All diets work if they meet these requirements. Okay, this is my list. One, they got to have calories. Guys, undereating is not good. Overeating is not good. Calories are fuel. Our body needs calories to thrive, to survive. And so, if your diet is telling you to eat less than 1,000 calories, that would be a no-go for me, because you're not giving your body even anywhere close to what it needs to thrive and survive. That alone build a dream physique. So we got to make sure we're eating enough calories. A diet should also have a protein requirement. Guys, just from a RDA level, which is what the FDA suggests for those, I just forgot the term, daily allowance, recommended daily allowance of protein, it comes out to be about 0.8 grams per kilo. And so if you weigh 220 pounds, you should eat at least 80 grams of protein. That's just for survival processes. Your body uses protein from hair, skin, and nails to enzymes, to bone, ligament, and cartilage growth. Believe it or not, your thyroid needs protein to actually create T3 and T4, but it also is needed for organ and muscle repair. And so if you're eating less than 0.8 grams per kilogram, you're not even giving your body what it needs to survive optimally. And then if we're exercising on top of that, our body needs even a greater influx of protein to repair the muscles that we damaged, like what Marissa said earlier. And so that's why we shoot for that 1 gram per goal body weight, so that we're meeting all structural needs that our body needs from protein, plus the benefit of metabolism and toning and all those good things. Lastly,
I just want to add something to that.
Oh, yeah.
So, that protein requirement, like Dustin said, is the minimum amount to basically just keep you alive, like to keep you from not dying. And I'm sure most of us on here aren't just trying to not die, like we're trying to get optimal results. So understand that that amount is just how much your body needs to not die. But let's shoot for optimal, not just not dying.
Yeah, exactly. And then with micronutrients, guys, if your diet tells you to stay away from certain foods, unless you have a allergic issue or something similar to that, it's probably not going to be the right diet, right? We need vitamins and minerals, and we get them from a variety of sources. We get our vitamins and minerals from fruits and veggies, from whole grains, from meats, from dairy, nuts, all kinds of things. So if a diet specifically tells you stay away from all these foods, you got to ask why. Why is it important to stay away from these foods? And a lot of times it just really doesn't meet the threshold of a good diet. Keep in mind, we really should be calling these lifestyle changes and not diets. Guys, diets do not work. It's the lifestyle change, something that you can live and adhere to, that's going to work. Some of the diets that we do with some of our clients, I would say the first one is just traditional macro counting. That's kind of what the app is set at. It sets your protein for you at 1 gram per goal body weight, and then it fills up carbs and fats kind of randomly to make up the rest of your calories. For most people, that's a perfect diet, right? Now, for some people, they do like to do things a little differently, whether it's intermittent fasting, where they're not eating for 16 hours a day and they fit in all their meals in an 8-hour window. Can be good if you have like blood sugar issues or PCOS or insulin resistance. However, some people just like eating their meals in a specific window. They feel like they have more energy. That's fine. It's about sustainability and being willing to do it. Keto is another diet. I don't suggest keto very often unless you have epilepsy, because it is a great diet for epilepsy. I have some clients that do it and I've had great success with. However, it's the most restrictive of all diets. No carbohydrates, no days over 40 grams of carbs for the next 6 months, no cheat meals at all. You're going to break it one time and it's not willing to do keto to get the benefits of it, because it's not even a diet, it's a metabolic process. So keto is an effective way to lose weight, but it's super restrictive. I'd rather allow you to eat some pizza occasionally than take it away from you forever. And then a traditional low carb diet, if you have, insulin resistance or some other, health conditions, sometimes a lower carb diet works. But guys, all these diets work because they have a calorie requirement and a protein requirement, and you get your micronutrients in. If you do those 3 things, you're going to see great results no matter what the diet is. Although for some people, there are preferences and health conditions that may warrant one diet over the next.
And Dustin, I just wanted to add to, like, going off of what Marissa said, where you're not just trying to survive with getting the proper amount of protein. You're not trying just to survive with whatever diet. Like, you're trying to live your life. You should be able to have that protein, that beer, that whatever, and be able to factor it into your day. But it's just all about controlling that and having control over that. Like, you want to have control over your life.
Yeah. And I mean, now going into the sustainability piece, like, something I always talk to my clients about is, like, my goal is not to teach you how to live without the foods that you love. Because I think a lot of people come into a diet and they're like, all right, this is it. I'm never going to eat a cookie again. And it's like, all right, if you tell me not to eat a cookie again, like, we're not friends. So my goal is never is not to teach people how to live without the foods that they love, is to teach them how to live with them and to how to balance them into their diet and make this a sustainable lifestyle. And the goal with the diet along with that, it's not to try to figure out how to eat as little as possible. Honestly, when I work with my clients, like, I want them eating as much as they possibly can while still making progress. So eating as much as they can while still making the progress that they want to see, because that's just going to be way more sustainable for you long-term versus like slashing your calories, crash dieting, doing it super fast. But then what? Like, you lost a bunch of weight really fast, but what happens, down the road? So anytime you are choosing a diet, ask yourself, like, is this something that I can see myself doing 3 months from now, 4 months from now, 5 months from now? Like, if you're choosing to do keto, like, are you somebody that enjoys carbohydrates? If you are, then keto probably isn't a good option. If you enjoy eating all day long, you enjoy, going out to breakfast and going out to dinner and having a nighttime snack, intermittent fasting probably isn't a good idea for you. But like Dustin mentioned in the last slide, any diet works. So take comfort in knowing that, like, you're not tied into one specific thing. Just because, so-and-so lost how much weight on this specific diet, like, you don't have to do that. You can do whatever fits best into your lifestyle and works best for you.
I think it's also important that you have 3 great coaches that are well-versed in a variety of diets. And so if you're someone who's doing keto and you're getting frustrated, you're not seeing the results you want, you're craving, you hate bacon now and I don't know how you can hate bacon, but you hate bacon now and you're craving pizza, we can get you out of that and into something else that's more sustainable. So don't be afraid. And guys, it's not, some things work. I used to do intermittent fasting and it worked really well for me for a long time. I just liked doing it. I liked the energy levels from it. I soon stopped liking it because I really liked breakfast. And so I quit. It didn't mean that I failed. Actually, I succeeded because I switched diets and got even better results. So you're not stuck for life. And that's the big thing with sustainability. I want you to feel comfortable being in that diet forever. And if you don't feel comfortable, then it might not be the right diet for you. Because, guys, diets don't work. Lifestyle changes work.
And that's why I think like also when it comes to the lifestyle, like you shouldn't be feeling as though like, oh my gosh, I'm cheating. Like I don't like to see it as a cheat meal either. It's just, okay, how can me personally, I incorporate it into my day, and I'm sure Dustin and Marissa, you guys do too, as best as you can. Like if I know consciously that I'm going to be going out and potentially having like 2 beers, I will factor that in if I'm not on 75 hard or something like that. Like it's so cool to be able to utilize the app and have that in your corner where it's like, I'm still within my means. It's just that I'm using my calories elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I mean, I had 3 new client calls this morning, and all 3 of them, I said, hey, look, I eat pizza occasionally. And they're like, but you're dieting. I said, I know. I figure it out. The night before, I key it in, say, hey, if I get 3 slices of Pizza Hut, what's left for the day? And maybe I punish myself by having, grilled chicken and a side salad twice, or go extremely low carb to offset. But guess what? The reward is I get pizza. Right. And so, hey, sometimes sacrifices are worth it. We've already kind of covered this, but guys, resistance training is a key to maximize weight loss. Resistance training and cardio combines even better, but you must have muscle to tone. I hear the word tone. I just want to tone. I just want to tone. Guys, toning means to burn fat to showcase muscle. If you don't have muscle, you can't tone. And unfortunately, cardio alone is not going to tone you. So working out with resistance, dropping body fat, hitting your protein goal, drinking your water, all these things combined is what's going to allow you to tone as you lose weight.
Addressing Bradley's question in the chat, what I recommend is at least, with combining resistance training and cardio, I would say use your resistance training as specific resistance training, focusing on getting stronger, progressive overload, really prioritizing that. At least I like to see at least 3 to 4 days of resistance training, and then sprinkling in some cardio. So like I like, going for walks, doing some lower intensity cardio. So it's not putting additional stress on your body, where you're like breaking down your body. But if you enjoy certain exercises like, HIIT workouts or running or hiking or like, biking or whatever, like CrossFit, I mean, that's something too, having that in there as well. Swimming, having that in there as well. Those are forms of cardio too. So when we say like combining resistance training and cardio, it doesn't necessarily mean like you have to do them at the same time, but having both of those things in your plan.
Yeah, and I think that we overanalyze what cardio is. Oh, it must mean running, or it must, walking counts, playing with your kid outside, playing basketball, whatever it is. Any additional activity that you're doing in your day is cardio, in my opinion. So really, we're just talking about added activity that's not necessarily related to work or whatever it might be. So I suggest a 30-minute walk every day for all my clients, and resistance training at least 4 days a week minimum.
Mm-hmm. I know we spend a lot of time on weight loss, but I know for most people, that's the majority of people's goals. So we can, move on.
Yeah. So things we may be missing. So we kind of alluded to a lot of these things, but if you're going to be deficient in vitamins and minerals, you won't be losing weight at the same speed as you could otherwise. There's so many vitamins and minerals that play key processes, from everything from cognitive function to recovery to immune system to just different, blood pressure, cholesterol, lipid panels, so many different variables that vitamins and minerals play a part in, but also your metabolism and weight loss. Studies show being deficient in chromium will make your body not utilize carbohydrates the right way, causing us to gain weight. There's a variety of other studies out there. I don't know why I'm picking on chromium, but yes. So if we're not hitting our vitamins and minerals that our body needs from a daily perspective, and guys, here's another thing. Our body needs vitamins and minerals daily. You can't take your Flintstone on Monday and expect that Flintstone to still be helping you on Thursday. It doesn't work that way. Our body utilizes the calories, carbs, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, all of that on a daily basis. It's actually funny because they started doing the blood tests. Oh, get your blood work and then send it off, and they'll send you vitamin packs based off of your blood work. I don't know if anybody's seen that. It's a freaking scam. And I'll tell you why, because you could eat a banana today and your potassium levels be good tomorrow. But if you don't eat bananas every single day, that blood work would only pick up the vitamins and minerals in it over a 24-hour period. And so you could have the best or the least healthy day you've ever had, get blood work taken, and they would send you vitamins your body maybe doesn't even need. And so your body needs vitamins and minerals daily. Provide it with vitamins and minerals, whether you do a supplement option or a whole food source. Resistance training, probably the number. I know we've harped on muscle, but for a lot of people who struggle with weight loss and they have slower metabolisms, it's because they don't train their muscles. They're not giving their body any reason to burn up more calories. Daily walks, 30 minutes of walking a day does wonders for your health and also helps you chew up and use more calories. Marissa, you're a gut health queen like me. I'm not a queen, maybe sometimes, but I know you're a huge fan of gut health when it comes to weight loss. What are your suggestions there?
Yeah, I mean, gut health, I think, is something that a lot of people overlook. And the thing is, guys, like, think about it. Your gut, your digestive tract is what's responsible for breaking down all of the food that you're taking in, all of these micronutrients, all of the protein, everything that we've talked about up to this point. Your gut and digestion are responsible for breaking those things down. So like if you have any sort of gut issues going on, then your body is not able to use all of the nutrients in your food that you're giving it. So you're not going to get all of the benefits from, protein being put towards, building up muscle, and all of these micronutrients aren't going to be able to be used in the body as efficiently as we would like them to. So gut health is an important, very, very important piece, and looking at gut health, making sure you're getting in adequate fiber in your diet, making sure you're drinking adequate water, because water is going to help kind of like lubricate that gut health, that digestive tract, to help move things through. Making sure you're eating or supplementing in with fermented foods to get in adequate probiotics to support your gut microbiome and reduce inflammation in the gut. Another thing too that I love is digestive enzymes, because listen, like most of us, we have a lot of stress, whether it's life stress, work stress, but also like eating processed foods and caffeine, alcohol, poor sleep. All of this stress can disrupt our digestive enzymes in our gut, which can then disrupt how effectively we're able to digest the protein, the carbs, and the fats and all that. So adding in those digestive enzymes to help with your gut and your digestion too. But overall, the better you're able to digest your food, the better you're able to use the nutrients in that food to, support your body.
I think
go ahead, Kaylee.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, I think that was the kicker for me though, Marissa, and I'm sure you too, Dustin, was I don't want to be doing all this work and not have anything to, it's going to take so long for my body to actually show for it. And for me to actually break up those nutrients and, absorb them and get those in. I don't want to be doing all this work for nothing. So that was kind of the kicker for me.
Yeah. And there's two major hormones we see with gut health that's impacted. The first one's cortisol. And so cortisol is the stress hormone. And unfortunately, most chronic inflammation in our body stems from our gut. And so the variety of foods we're eating or the lack of variety of foods we're eating can cause stress in the gut. Inflammation takes over. Next thing you know, we're spitting out more cortisol than we need. Cortisol causes fat gain. Even in a calorie deficit, cortisol can cause fat gain. Second part's insulin, right? And so your gut decides how quickly and how slow it digests carbohydrates, fluctuates with blood sugar. So if you're digesting carbohydrates too fast because your gut health is poor, next thing you know, blood sugar's through the roof. Your body's producing more insulin. You don't have room for your blood sugar like most people don't. It starts being stored as adipose body fat around the belly. And so if we can optimize cortisol and optimize insulin by improving gut health, by adding a diverse amount of fruits and veggies, by eating fermented foods to provide the good gut bacteria, by eating digestive enzymes, it's going to help break down and utilize the food and help reduce inflammation. We're going to see results from a weight loss perspective, just from a hormonal side, not to mention what Marissa said about actually utilizing the food that we're eating and getting rid of what we don't eat, right? So we're going to, that's a great thing about our gut. If it's performing optimally, we'll use what we need to use and we'll get rid of what we don't. If we have poor gut, it doesn't work that way. Lastly, omega-3 fatty acids, guys, when it comes to supplementation and you look at studies, the supplement, I can guarantee you if you take it in the right amounts, that will benefit you 99 times out of 99 times of omega-3 fatty acids. They are the coolest food group. You know, we get them from fatty fish predominantly and some nuts, but the fatty fish has the highest quality of it. From a weight loss, from muscle gain and performance, from cognitive to reducing inflammation, from joint pain, helping with autoimmune disorders, helping with diabetes, PCOS. There's a million benefits of supplementing or ingesting more omega-3 fatty acids, and you're really missing out if you don't get those in. Real quick, I know we've harped on weight loss. So here's some supplement. You can do any of these things without supplements, okay? And so don't think we're trying to push supplements on you. We do suggest a quality meal replacement shake. I have trouble hitting my protein goal if it wasn't for shakes. I drink 3 level 1 shakes a day on average. I'm not saying you have to, but that's 25 grams of some of the purest protein you can get, very calorie friendly, lower carbohydrate, lower fat. Post-workout shakes help protect the muscle, help build lean muscle, and help recover muscle in a post-workout setting. I'll get it out. The problem with post-workout is food doesn't work as well as supplementation. All this other that we'll explain, supplements, whole food sources can be equally or even better. However, in a post-workout environment, your body needs protein fast, and food just takes too long to digest. A whey protein isolate that's been hydrolyzed digests almost immediately, breaks down into amino acids, and gets to the muscle to start the repair and recovery process in minutes, where eating chicken and broccoli and some rice may take a couple hours before it actually gets to the muscle. Ignition is just a shuttling source of carbohydrates to drive the protein to the muscle. Omega-3 fatty acids, we're looking at 2 to 3 servings of fresh, wild-caught fatty fish a week, sardines, halibut, mackerel, salmon a week to get enough omega-3 fatty acids from a clinical perspective to help with weight loss, help reduce inflammation, help with cognitive and eye function, joint pain, all those good things. We suggest Full Mega from First Form because it has the clinical dose of 2,500 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids. I know I'm rambling, I'm sorry. 1,500 milligrams of EPA and DHA combined. When you look at clinical studies associated with omega-3 fatty acid supplementation, you need at least 2,000 milligrams of omega-3s and at least 1,000 from EPA and DHA. First Form has more than that in just 2 pills. Foundational health, we like microfactors. So the cool thing about microfactor is it's got vitamins, minerals, it's got antioxidants, it's got a probiotic, it's got essential fatty acids, which are also going to help with many of the conditions we spoke about earlier, all in one nutrient dense. Also has CoQ10 for heart health. And so you're getting everything and more that you might not be getting from your diet. And then, you know, if you do want to kick in the pants, the 1DB Fast Pack does include Full Mega, which we talked about Full Mega a little bit earlier, and also has 2 powerful fat burners. Is it a necessary thing? No, but if you do struggle and want to kind of get more motivation and set yourself on the right foot, the 1DB Goddess or Overdrive Fast Pack can help give you that push. Ladies, what would you add there?
I think you did great outlining each one.
Yeah, I wouldn't really add anything. I mean, like Dustin said, you know, supplements are not necessary to see results, but the thing is with supplementation, they're really just meant to supplement what you're doing with your diet. So they're meant to fill gaps, never to replace. Because the thing is, it's really difficult to get all the nutrients your body needs in through whole foods. So that's just where, you know, supplementation can be beneficial.
It's really a convenience thing.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on to any questions about weight loss before we go into muscle gain and performance. The next 2 sections are going to be much more short because they overlap with some of the same information we've already talked about. So,
hey, I had a question.
Yeah, man.
And I've been given 2 different answers on this. So you all just talked about supplementation. That's why I asked now. Do you count the calories you get in supplementation towards your daily calorie intake?
Depend. Who belongs to Wayne?
Me. That's why I was
All
gonna
right, Kaylee, you answer this question.
So yeah, no, things like, and I think he's just asking like greens and, you know, full mega and things like that. And the way that we've explained it in our group, and that's a really great question, is if it's a constant, like microfactor, like greens, like reds, like full mega that you're taking every single day, no, you don't need to track that. And I don't, it's every day. But obviously protein, anything that's more of like that food source, yes, obviously that's going to be tracked.
So what about the post workout? Because I've just started using that. Track it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's going to help you get your protein too. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say from our perspective, I don't track reds, greens, full mega, microfactor. I don't. However, I do have clients that do, and it is nice because I can see it on their food log, like, oh, they took their greens today. So there is some benefit for me to see that you track it, but I'll be honest, I don't track it. So I don't necessarily. I think it's coach dependent. If your coach wants you to track it. But most of us think reds, greens, and full mega and microfactor don't necessarily need to be tracked. Any other questions?
That was a good question.
Yeah, it is. All right, how to build muscle, one of my favorite topics, and Marissa's a pro at this, but, you know, building muscle is actually not that difficult, okay? And I know that sounds weird because everybody's wanting to look like Arnold and all this, but the process of our body actually building muscle is relatively easy, and there's only a few things that it really needs to actually, you know, build lean tissue, okay? And one of which is obviously protein. We've harped on that enough today that we're not going to go into huge details on it. However, muscle is literally made of protein. Actually, if you can touch it on your body, it's made out of protein. Every structural component in the body is made out of protein, which is kind of interesting. But yes, we got to eat protein, and that sweet spot is somewhere between 1-ish grams of protein per goal body weight is going to give our body enough protein to actually build lean tissue. But it needs resistance. And so, you know, Marissa, talk about progressive overload real quick. Just kind of educate us on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, progressive overload is just progressively overloading your body. So making sure you're progressively getting, you know, pushing your body a little bit harder. Now, that doesn't mean like at some point you're going to not be able to increase your weight every single time you exercise, but progressive overload can look like a lot of different things. It can be increasing your weight. It can be increasing your reps, increasing your sets, you know, increasing the volume in your training, doing the exercise a little bit differently. So maybe you like slow down the exercise, or you improve your form and improve your range of motion. But really just like your muscle, the way that a muscle kind of grows essentially is you put stress on it through resistance training, it breaks down, and then it adapts to that stress and it gets a little bit stronger for the next time, because you're telling your body that like, hey, look, it has this stress, it needs to get stronger. So it breaks down, gets a little bit stronger the next time. So that next time you go to work that muscle, it's going to need a little bit more something to break it down a little bit more. So you stress it a little bit more, it breaks down, it gets a little bit stronger. So then you just progressively have to, you know, if you want to continue to grow, you want to make sure you're progressively overloading that muscle to continue to push it.
Exactly. I liked how you explained that. But yeah, we're just pushing the muscle to be a little bit more strong and working it a little bit harder on a week-to-week perspective to give it. Now, again, the caveat is you got to make sure you're giving your body what it needs for that to actually happen. The repair and recovery process is vital. If you can continue to push yourself and you're not eating enough protein, or you're not giving yourself time to recover, or you're not sleeping, or you're missing out on vitamins and minerals, it'll work against itself. It'll actually be a catabolic nature. You'll actually destroy muscle tissue without building it. So all of this works in unison with each other, right?
That adaptation part is extremely important. So like, you know, like I said, you put stress on the muscle, it breaks down. This is where like the other 23 hours of your day comes into play. So you break down the muscle during that hour workout, and then this is where it grows and it builds. But in order for that muscle to grow and build, it needs adequate nutrients to do that. It needs adequate protein. It needs adequate rest. You know, all of that, like this step between like the breakdown and the rebuild, that's where like the recovery happens. So that's an extremely important piece.
Kaylee, what were you going to add?
No, I just thought that Marissa, you explained that very well.
Yeah, I think that what blew my mind like 20 years ago was that you actually don't build muscle in the gym. Like you're actually destroying the muscle in the gym. It's you build the muscle when you leave the gym. And it's like, wait a minute, what? But no,
I think once I connected those, that's when it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the protein, it's the recovery, it's the vitamins and minerals, it's the sleep. Those are what grows the muscle. But you gotta do the damage to grow the muscle. So I know it sounds kind of crazy, but it's what you do outside the gym that grows the muscle because of the gym. If that makes any sense. But yeah, guys, it's a plethora of things, very similar to the same things that help us maximize our metabolism, right? We got to make sure we're recovering, we're making sure we're sleeping, we're making sure we're giving our body what it needs to actually build the lean muscle. So that's why I said this section is going to fly through a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
How to recover faster. Again, when we work out, we create muscle damage. And our body, as long as we give it the right things, will actually repair and rebuild. We can't, for instance, we got to give our body enough rest. We got to sleep. Now, I know there's some people who do like CrossFit, and yeah, they do kind of the same exercises every single day, and they see growth and repair and recovery. But for a lot of us, we don't have to rework that muscle that often. I typically do the same muscle group twice a week. Me personally, how I do my training. Now there's some people that like to do full body workouts and they work out the same things every day. There's none of this is actually wrong or right. There might be some more optimization for those in certain situations, but the whole idea is we use the muscle, we cause the damage, creates repair and recovery, it gets bigger, stronger, faster, right? Body does need protein, it needs foundational health, vitamins and minerals, it needs sleep, it needs recovery. All of us are huge fans of the post-workout stack from First Form because nothing is going to start the repair and recovery process faster than that hydrolyzed whey protein isolate, the super fast digesting protein, and the carbohydrate source that together is going to help rebuild and repair the muscle in minutes after a workout versus waiting hours to start the recovery process through whole foods. I went through that fast.
Does anybody have any questions? You guys can drop them or unmute.
Workouts for muscle gain. Oh,
I got a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm super new to like lifting weights and stuff. And I'm kind of at the point where like this week I wasn't able to add any additional weight from what I did last week, but I was still like finishing the reps that it had on the app. So I guess just trying to find like when you would switch that up, I guess, or add more reps or whatever.
Oh, okay. Dustin. Oh, go ahead, Kaylee.
No, you're good if you wanted to answer it.
No, I just going to say, like, you do get to a point where, like, you can't continuously add weight week to week. Like, you're going to get to a point where, like, it gets difficult. We see at the beginning when somebody starts resistance training, we can kind of progress a little bit quickly. But at a certain point, you're going to hit where it's like, you can't continuously add weight to the workout. You can't continuously increase the reps and the sets. But as long as you're pushing your body, you are physically straining your body, putting stress on the body, you feel like you're working the muscle, you are progressively overloading the muscle. And then next workout, see what you did last workout, see if you can push it a little bit harder, but always make sure that your form is in check. You don't want that to go, you don't want that to slack. But yeah, I mean, you're going to get to a point where it's like, you can't continuously add week to week to week to week. But just as long as you're physically pushing, you have that resistance, you're straining the body, putting stress on it, you're going to grow from that.
Yeah. So I've heard before, like the last few reps should be like almost like you can't do it anymore. Is that like a real thing, or I'm just trying to learn, I guess?
Yeah, I would say that would be a good rule of thumb is like the last 2 to 3 reps are very strenuous. You never want to push your body to the point of like losing form, especially if you're like deadlifting, squatting, doing like compound movements. But let's say you're doing something like a bicep curl where it's like you're not going to injure yourself. Like, yes, the last, I would say 2 to 3 reps, as making sure that those are pretty strenuous. That's a pretty good rule of thumb to have there.
Yeah,
It
and I
doesn't need
think
to be impossible, just needs to be more strenuous. You know, if you're going into the 10th rep and it's like, I could have totally done 5 more, then you go up and wait. You know, that's kind of how I do it.
And I think that it was a good question too in the chat. On a active recovery day, should you be taking post-workout? And those are kind of what we were talking about before. If you are doing things like push-ups or even if it's an at-home and you are resistance training, so you're adding some sort of resistance to that workout, that you're using a lot of energy, yeah, I would use the post-workout. But if it's something like a walk or you're even just a weighted walk, I would not use post-workout unless you need that Formula One to help you get closer to that protein goal and you don't have anything to fill that spot. You can still take the Formula One, but the ignition wouldn't be necessary.
Yeah, I would say that if you're not pushing yourself pretty hard with resistance on an active recovery day, then ignition's probably definitely not needed.
Yeah.
Where you could still use Formula One to help hit your protein goal and to help with recovery. But I would probably just focus on hitting my protein goal if I'm just doing, you know, walks or things like that. And if I need Formula One itself to hit my protein goal, that's fine. But actually, you know, the post-workout stack with ignition probably wouldn't be needed in that sense. Because the big thing with ignition is ignition is a pure carbohydrate source. It's pure glucose. It's the most fundamental of the carbs. And so if we don't have room in the muscle for it, then it may not benefit us that much. So we got to have room for ignition, and we get room for ignition through resistance training for the most part. So dirty bulk is a way to gain a ton of weight at one time and potentially a lot of muscle at one time. And if you saw me between the months of April and May, you saw that I gained 29 pounds in 2 months. I would never
mind your business. If you saw me during that time, mind your business.
Oh my gosh, 6,000 calories a day. I was eating literally a box of cereal every single day, and it was the greatest life in history of mankind. Until
that was circa like 2012, like 2012, before I got my crap together. So
yeah, and then all of a sudden I get a call saying, "Oh, Summer Smash is happening this year, and Dustin, you're over 200 pounds, and you need to do something about it." So yeah, so dirty bulking. But guys, here's the deal. You know, dirty bulking does come with a lot of health risks too. You're eating that many calories. It can be bad for blood glucose levels. It can cause, you know, insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. It can be hard on your heart. It can be bad on blood pressure, on hormone regulation, all kinds of stuff. I am not a fan of dirty bulking, and it is harder to get weight off after a dirty bulk than it was before, it seems like. And so although it is an effective way to gain a lot of weight at once by just eating a crap ton of calories, you're risking a few other things at the same time. So yeah, you could do it. I would suggest doing more of a clean approach. We ramp up calories slowly. That way you're more likely to gain more muscle and less fat as you gain. Yeah, it's going to be slower, but it's going to be much more quality weight. You're going to get stronger. It's going to be better for your health, your lifestyle, and it's going to come off a lot easier than if you do a dirty bulk. Supplementation for muscle gain. Again, these are optional. However, they are going to help, especially if you're like me and you don't eat much fruits, veggies, whole grains, things like that. We talk about level 1, helps us hit our protein goal, makes banging pancakes and mug cakes and all that good stuff. Post-workout stack, again, I think that if you're trying to optimize muscle, there's not a supplement out there that's going to help you more with the repair and recovery process. Gut health. Look, 5 to 7 servings of fruits and veggies, 2 to 3 servings of fermented foods, 2 to 3 servings of tropical fruits each day gives you the same impact as OptiGreens. But the better gut health we have, the more likely we're going to utilize that protein that we're eating and help block fat accumulation as much as possible. Foundational health, vitamins and minerals play a role in recovery, muscle growth, all that good stuff. That's why we suggest Microfactor. Creatine monohydrate is the most studied supplement in sports history. Creatine is phenomenal at building muscle, helping repair and recovery, and getting stronger. And it's 17 cents a day for a serving. So add it to your protein shake, or you can take a pre-workout like Project One or the new Enduraformance that has it built in, the efficacious dose that's actually needed for muscle growth. All of those work. If you don't like pre-workout, I would add creatine to your either post-workout shake or even just a protein shake during the day to make sure you're getting it. Now, creatine, you need to have 5 grams a day every single day to see the benefits of creatine, even on days that you're not working out. It's something that you have to build up inside the muscle cell.
Hey, Dustin, I got a good question that I feel like for everybody would be helpful. So I'm just going to share it, that the sense of, and you guys can both hit on it too, not feeling, Brad, I can talk about that separately with you too, just so if anything. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. The sense of feeling not super sore after your workout, or not feeling overly drained like we did in the past. And this is somebody that is using proper post-workout and everything, so they're not feeling that sense of soreness. So I don't know if either of you guys want to hit on that.
Like how to not feel soreness, or why you feel
no, that sense of like, I didn't get that good of a workout because I'm not feeling as sore afterwards.
Gotcha. Okay. So, you know, one point I drive home is like, and I used to totally be the type of person who would gauge my workout, like how good it was based off of how sore I was the next day. But honestly, like that soreness that you feel is typically from being under recovered. And as we know, like being under recovered from a workout, you're not seeing the most results from that training. And this under recovery happens a lot at the beginning of like getting started with working out, because you're asking your body to do something that it's not used to doing. So feeling a little bit soreness when you first start working out is common. You know, it's typical because you're pushing your body in a way that it hasn't been pushed before. However, over time, like that soreness should subside, and you don't want to base how, like, whether a workout was good or bad based off of like how sore you're feeling afterwards. Because again, like that, if you're feeling sore, it's typically from like, you either ask your body to do something it's not used to doing, you pushed it harder than, you know, what you typically push it, or, you know, you're under recovered. So, you know, I guess that would be my answer.
Yeah, no, and I can agree with that. And I think it's that whole, it doesn't have to be balls to the wall every single time you're working out either. So I think you hit on that perfectly. So
yeah, just because you're not sore does not mean you didn't have an effective workout.
Exactly.
There's two totally different things. A couple things on creatine really, really fast. So creatine is a naturally occurring product. I just forgot what I was going to say. Combination of 3 amino acids. There's nothing hormonal about it. There's nothing scary about it. It's literally the combination of 3 different amino acids. We get it predominantly from red meat. We have a ton of it already inside our body. However, supplementing with creatine can help the muscle grow a little bit. It helps by forcing water inside the muscle. That's the monohydrate part. It helps with energy production and ATP. We won't even get into that. That's a whole nother discussion. It helps with power output. It helps with recovery. It helps with muscle size and strength. It is not a hormone. So if you stop using it, you don't magically lose a lot of muscle. It's not like a steroid or something like that. However, if you stop using creatine, you may see a very small amount of muscle size go, only because creatine stores water inside the muscle. It's not that you're losing muscle. You just may lose just a hair, teeny tiny bit of volume in your muscle, not necessarily the actual size of the muscle. It's super cost effective. Literally, of all the supplements in the world, it's the most cost effective with actual proof that it works. I will say, though, because it can increase water weight and it scares people who are losing weight, it doesn't store water anywhere but inside the muscle, which is actually a good thing. It makes the muscles bigger and stronger. However, you may gain a few pounds of water weight the first week of taking creatine. It is not fat. It's literally the best source of muscle there is inside the muscle weight. However, you may gain a few pounds and it may scare you, but it's not fat. So just remember that. So wow, I love this. Gosh, I'm a geek. So the difference is creatine is the combination of 3 specific amino acids. I put it in the chat earlier. And so with those 3 together, it targets actual muscle creatine levels, which is what I just said, nerds, absolutely. Where BCAAs and EAAs are the building blocks of protein and actually help with the actual repair of the actual muscle cell, not creatine levels that are actually inside the muscle. we can talk about it after to make it even make any more sense than that. They're not the same, but they are relatively related, unfortunately.
If Dustin
I would say
he would go down the fancy route every time. Go ahead, Marissa.
I would just say, to simplify it, creatine helps with muscle endurance. So it helps with improving performance in your workouts. BCAAs, the branched chain amino acids, are what helps with signaling muscle recovery. So creatine is going to help you push a little bit harder in your workout. The branched chain amino acids are going to help turn on that muscle recovery for, recovery.
I should have just had you explain it. Gosh, that was a lot better.
I know. Next time, just have me say it.
Health conditions. We're going to go through these really fast, guys. And this is something that I'm sure all three of us deal with, but with my nutrition practice, these are things that I specialize in. So I work with a lot of folks with PCOS and infertility. So PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. I know it's weird hearing a guy talk about ovulation and follicles and estrogen and progesterone and ovaries. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I deal with this a lot. But PCOS is a condition in which women start developing more androgens, male-based sex hormones inside their body. It's typically because the ovaries become inflamed and they create cysts. Those cysts produce male sex hormones. That causes the women's body to have an influx of male sex hormones, which disrupts their typical progesterone and estrogen pattern, which can cause menstrual cycle issues, body hair, belly fat predominantly, some infertility issues, and more. How do we treat it? Well, if you do have PCOS, that is a diagnosable condition. You should talk to your doctor. So when I say treat, I don't mean treat specifically. Obviously, talk to your doctor before starting any of these. However, we want to make sure we hit our protein goal. Secondly, we should lower carbohydrates. So PCOS is 90% of PCOS cases are insulin resistant related, meaning they're similar, even though not the same, to like type 2 diabetes. Because insulin is a trigger for PCOS. If we can lower insulin levels, which means lower carbohydrate consumption, our body won't produce as much androgens, which reduces the sizes of the cysts, which can potentially reduce, if not eliminate, a lot of the signs and symptoms of PCOS. Typically, 100 grams of carbohydrates a day is what we look at. We want to make sure they're more wholesome, better versions, starches, whole grains, things like that, not a pint of Ben and Jerry's ice cream at the end of the day type carbohydrates. Increasing omega-3 fatty acids from fish oil also helps reduce inflammation and the size of the cyst, which will reduce androgens and male sex hormones. Working out with weights, super important, guys. Working out with weights better utilizes carbohydrates inside the body, which is going to help reduce some of the signs and symptoms. There's a product called GDA. GDA works quite similar to metformin, but a little different. GDA tells the body to slow down the absorption of carbohydrates, but at the same time, tell the muscle to use more carbohydrates. By doing that, less insulin is going to be used. Less insulin is going to be used, less androgens are developed, so you start having better signs and symptoms. GDA is a supplement you take 2 of 30 minutes or with a meal of 20 or more grams of protein up to 3 times a day. 20 or more grams of carbs up to 3 times a day. Microfactor is the vitamin and mineral packs that have all the vitamins, minerals, CoQ10, essential fatty acids, antioxidants, all that good stuff. That's going to help. I do have some clients that like using the 1DB fast pack because it does have OptiGreens in it, which is super important for blood sugar regulation, but it also helps kickstart the metabolism. Typically, if we can lose weight with PCOS, we start seeing better results faster. Insulin resistance is a very similar condition to PCOS. Insulin resistance affects men and women. It's the process in which the body doesn't use insulin correctly. This is pretty much what turns into diabetes type 2. And so insulin resistance is going to pretty much get you to type 2 diabetes if you don't make fundamental changes. It's literally treated almost the same way. We decrease carbohydrates somewhere between 80 to 125 grams a day, specifically around our workouts. We still keep protein up. I didn't mention this with PCOS, but we want to increase fats to offset. We're not cutting calories when we eliminate our carbs. We're going to fill up those carbs with healthy fats. Microfactor, GDA, omega-3 fatty acids, and OptiGreens 50 are all ways to help it. You can also experiment with like intermittent fasting, or other diet programs in which it's going to help regulate blood sugar better for an extended amount of time. Autoimmune disorders. Autoimmune disorders is just conditions in which the body attacks itself. It's an immune system issue. This could be, everything from rheumatoid arthritis to Hashimoto's to lupus to there's a billion, celiac disease, all of them. There's certain triggers that affect autoimmune disorders more than others, one of which is gluten. Even if you don't have celiac disease, gluten tends to cause autoimmune disorder signs and symptoms to increase, and not in a good way. Same is true about preservatives like nitrates. Preservatives tend to cause autoimmune disorder triggers to happen, which makes the signs and symptoms and severity of the condition worse. Eating more wholesome food choices, things that you make yourself, things that are not preservative filled, is going to help. Gluten typically in bread. We increase protein. Omega-3 fatty acids are even more important with autoimmune disorders because autoimmune disorders are a chronic inflammation disorder. If you can reduce the inflammation inside the body, you're going to see less signs and symptoms associated with autoimmune disorders. Where an average person needs around 2,000 milligrams of omega-3 fatty acids a day, those with autoimmune disorders need far greater amounts, 4,000 plus. We do suggest full mega, microfactor, and OptiGreens 50 because like OptiGreens 50 helps with inflammation inside the gut, which is also a big trigger of autoimmune disorder. So all of this is going to help. I know I'm stumbling and rambling. I'm so sorry. I think I'm almost done, I promise. Oh, menopause. God, talking about menopause. Good Lord. Okay, so menopause affects women. Everybody's going to get menopause eventually if you're a female. I feel like I'm going through it right now. So it affects ladies typically 55 plus, but these years can vary. Yes, weight loss becomes harder with menopause. There's hormones working in your disadvantage and some other things. I will say it does make it harder, right? And I'll be the one first to admit this. I'm not saying that you're going to burn calories as easily as somebody who's not in menopause. This means you do have to be a little bit more strict with your diet and exercise. It sucks. It's just, a downfall of being menopausal is you're not going to quite burn as many calories as you used to. So you do need to be more strict with it. We got to make sure we're giving our bodies the vitamins and minerals needed. We need to make sure that we're hitting our protein goals. So that way we're building as much lean muscle as possible to burn through even more calories. There's a group of supplements called adaptogens. These are ones that cause a variety of positive benefits inside the body when it comes to hormones. Ashwagandha is one of them. I love ashwagandha. It's one of the main ingredients. It's in Harmony by First Form, which is a really great product to help with hormonal imbalances in women. I do suggest going a little bit lower carb during menopause. You don't have to, but I have seen some people get a little bit better results starting with a little bit lower carb diet and then working from there. Again, you can lose weight. There's nothing that stops you from losing weight in menopause, but you do have to be a little bit more exact and more strict with yourself. Here are, and I won't read this off, you can read it. Here's some great protein sources that I share with a lot of my clients, so that way they know that they can hit their protein easier while being more cognizant of the calories and the carbs and the fat. Those are some of my favorites. Again, I love ribeyes. It's my favorite cut of steak. However, there's as much fats in ribeyes as protein, so the calories are going to be through the roof. So water intake, 100 ounces of water. We actually haven't said that all day today, believe it or not, I don't think. So 100 ounces minimum. A gallon would be even better. What I currently do is I drink 32 ounces of water mixed with my L-carnitine when I wake up. Put in a 32-ounce tumbler. I typically drink it in 30 to 45 minutes. Now I've had 32 ounces of water. I do the same thing at lunch, typically with Crystal Light or something similar. Now I'm at 64 ounces. At dinner, I do it again. Actually, here's my tumbler. Oh, I don't know if you can even see me. I don't know if that helped at all. I drink another one. That's 96 ounces. If I sip between the day, I'm going to hit my 128 pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, 70%, what is it, like 70% of your body is water. So making sure you're staying hydrated. I mean, people underestimate how important water is. It's so important. Water makes up majority of your cells. and it's going to help with digestion. It's going to help with overall metabolism. It's going to help make you feel full. Definitely don't undervalue the importance of water. And Amber did ask a question in the chat. So when you say lower carbs with menopause, do you have a range that's usually suggested, or does it depend on the weight they are trying to maintain?
No, when I say that, I'd say that if you've had trouble in the past, maybe lowering carbs is good. I wouldn't reduce them lower than 100. And believe it or not, that's considered low carb, and that's enough for 2 baked potatoes and an apple a day. So surprisingly, it's more carbs than you actually think it is when you hear 100. But that's something that I would start with just to experiment, and you may not even have to, right? It's just something that I've used in the past to help.
And just to highlight what Dustin said is he's saying you can change it, as in like whoever your advisor is, definitely talk to them before you go. Like, don't just go in and change it because you think that you might need to be lower carb. Like, definitely talk to whoever your advisor is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Use the app, guys. The app is the greatest source of like literally, like I started coaching years before the app. And I just wonder, like, man, it was hard to coach before the app. Like, I can see now what you're doing every single day. I can make recommendations with the assessments weekly. But guys, you have the tools, you have the macros set for you. You know the calories, carbs, proteins, and fats. You have the ability to experiment. What I do is, if I know I'm going to have pizza on Saturday night, on Friday, I put Saturday's day in and I put in 3 slices of pizza and I figure out what I can have the rest of the day that I don't kill my macros. Now, granted, I'm not saying pizza's the healthiest choice, and there is validity of eating better, wholesome choices for your foods, but the app allows you to experiment. You don't have to eat chicken and rice 10 times a day. We all eat a diverse amount of food and we figure it out. And your coaches will also help you make some suggestions to get where you need to be, but you have the ability to experiment, so it's not Marissa's diet or Kaylee's diet or my diet, it's your diet. Right? You get the ability to figure out how to make it work the best. Obviously, we're going to help you. And I say, it's not a cheat meal if you can fit it in your macros. Now, I don't think that, yes, it is a cheat meal. And no, I don't think you should eat pizza every single day just because you can starve yourself the rest of the day and still hit your macros. But using the app to reward yourself with a meal like that and stay within your macros is the best case scenario if you're going to eat those type of foods.
And I would say too, like, don't feel like you have to have a label to your diet. Like, I think that a lot of times people get into this like hole where like their diet is like their religion, and it's like, oh, I am fill in the blank. It's just, when it comes down to it, as simple as can be, calories, protein, movement, water, and sleep. If you can get these 5 things down, you're golden. So depending on what your goal is, if it's weight loss, making sure you're in a calorie deficit. If it's muscle gain and weight gain, making sure you're in a calorie surplus. And if you just want to maintain and focus on optimal health, calorie maintenance. So calories are going to depend on what your goal is, but everything else pretty much stays the same. Protein intake, movement, water, sleep, and I would throw, micronutrients in there as well.
All right, guys. So what questions do you have for us? And we're sorry, I was hoping to keep this at an hour, but we freaking love weight loss so much that weight loss alone was an hour.
We get 3 of us together. It's kind of hard to not.
I know.
No.
So what questions do you have for us? And obviously, you can take this offline, message us privately. We'll definitely help you out.
How many grams of fiber should you have in a day? So I would say a good rule of thumb would be, I like to see people no lower than 15 grams. So like 15 to 20 grams. Best case scenario would be, I say 20 to 25 grams, but it's really going to depend on how many calories you're consuming. So if what is the recommend? Is it 12 calories per 1,000 grams, Dustin? Is that the guidelines typically?
I don't
or 12 grams of fiber per 1,000. So,
that sounds right. It's typically somewhere around 25 grams per 2,000 calorie diet.
Okay. Yeah. So it's going to depend on like how many calories you're eating, but I like to see people no lower than 15 grams. If you can get up to the 20 to 25 gram range, then that would be optimal.
Yeah, and don't fall into the keto trap that, you know, you can eat something that has 50 grams of fiber in it. More is not always better. And I've seen people who go, you know, hey, I ate 16 slices of keto bread today, and now I have 120 grams of fiber. Yeah, that's not a good thing either. I typically want you around 25 is typically what I suggest. Because, guys, fiber has many roles inside the body. It feeds the good gut bacteria. It helps move, you know, waste throughout the digestive tract. It helps block the fast absorption of carbohydrates. So there's a ton of great benefits of fiber. It's been a fun
I
call.
appreciate everybody who stuck around.
Yeah, definitely. I hope you guys took some valuable lessons away from there. Is this track somewhere in the app? So you can see your fiber in the app. It's just you don't see the total amounts. So if you go in and you look at a food that you logged, it'll show, like, I'm gonna show you real quick. So like, say you logged a food. Oh, it's not gonna show my screen and I don't feel like getting my cord out. So say you have a meal, you drop it down, you see, like, I logged an apple this morning. In the gray font, it'll say protein, carbs, fats, fiber. So you'll have to just manually add it up on your end. I hope they add a feature soon to the app where it shows you the total amount of fiber. But for right now, you just have to look at each individual food and it'll show you the fiber of it.
Yeah.
But general, I mean, if you're eating a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, getting a lot of plants in your diet, you're going to, you know, most likely you'll get a good amount of fiber in there.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking. I'm sorry.
And I just sent you a screenshot.
Okay. I was actually looking at the app and I pulled up like 5 different foods that I've logged, and not one of them is showing any fiber. So maybe my app's not messed up and maybe my meals are messed up.
Sometimes it doesn't. It depends on, like, the option
like
that you choose.
Even broccoli, like 0 fiber. So
okay.
I'll get with Kaylee on it, though. I just wanted to know if it was tracked in the app somewhere, but you answered my question on that part.
It could also be, keep in mind, First Form uses the Nutrigenics database, which is what the FDA and USDA use for foods. And sometimes there are glitches. It's not First Form doesn't import the information. We get it from the government database. And so occasionally, for instance, my favorite meal in history of the world is this open-faced roast beef that I make with a sirloin steak. And even though the sirloin steak is 23 grams of protein and 9 grams of fat, for some reason, when you pull it up from the database, it says it has 90 grams of fat. And so when I do 8 ounces, that's 180 grams of fat. No, unfortunately, it's a coding error, but First Form doesn't actually have that access. We get that directly from the official database. So you'll see glitches occasionally. It's not perfect, unfortunately. So you got to watch that.
If you make adjustments to your meal, it zeroes out your fiber. Yeah, it does that sometimes. So, and also you have to make, like, so if you search like steamed broccoli, sometimes depending on which one you specifically choose from the list, it can kind of throw off fiber. But I would say just making sure you're getting in lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of plants, all that good stuff.
I would say if you're following the plan, like, it's most likely the foods that you're eating, you're not eating pizza every day, or you're not eating, you know, all these foods that aren't super rich in fiber. Like, if you're following your plan, you're most likely getting a proper amount. If not, you know.
Yeah, I think the caveat is, guys, is that if you feel like your digestion isn't optimal, talk to your coach. We'll figure it out. We'll help you. We'll figure out what a game plan is, right? Or you know, because look, some of us may only need 15 grams of fiber. Some of us may need 40 grams of fiber, right? Depending on our gut health and our past issues, and you know, and so we're going to help you through that. And so if you don't think you're eating enough, or you're feeling bloated, or you're not passing food as often as you think you should, or you're getting sick more often than you're not, then maybe there is a gut health issue that we can experiment with, whether it's, you know, adding a supplementation or adding more fermented foods or whatever it might be. But here's the deal, guys. We can help you. And I say this a lot. You know, all 3 of us are sponsored trainers. You know, there's only 30 sponsored trainers out of 14,000 coaches. And I can guarantee you that any one of us can help you with whatever it is. because not only do we have a wealth of information ourselves, we utilize each other. And we have registered dietitians that we're personal friends with and doctors we're friends with that we can get information. And so I can guarantee you that if I don't know something, I can reach out to these two and they'll help me. And if they don't know, they'll give me a number of somebody else to call, and so there's not this like crazy health condition that we're afraid of, because we don't have to be afraid of it because we have resources to help you. Okay. And so, I mean, literally you could have the craziest health condition ever. We have a registered dietitian on site that we can contact right now to get help. That's how cool First Form is, having people that literally, it's the greatest thing in the world for us to coach, because we shouldn't have to be worried about taking on somebody that struggles, because we have the resources available that almost no other coaches have. When I did this 10 years ago by myself before First Form, I had myself. I had studies to read. Right. If somebody came to me and had something I had never heard of before, I spent the rest of the day researching it and hoping I would understand it at the end of it. We don't have to do that anymore. We can lean on each other. We can lean on other resources. So literally, if you have an odd issue or just don't know something, lean on us. We can get you answers.
That's a fact.
Yes, it is.
All right,
but you guys, we talked a lot about the importance of sleep today, and it is 10 p.m. on the East Coast, so we're going to let you guys go to bed now.
No joke. So, guys, we love you. Thank you so much. If you didn't catch the whole thing, we're going to be sending out the recording tomorrow. Again, utilize us. Let us know what we can do better. If we want to do this again, we'll do it again real soon. I'll talk to you later, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Bye.